Hello, everyone. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lines TV. Welcome to a discussion with me and Joe Tweedy. We're going to be talking about who Sarri should be picking as centre back options. Yes, Luiz has been getting a lot of criticism the past few days, and I thought it'd be a good discussion to have. But you guys, before I get straight into things, if you want to help the channel out as well, if you go to the description below, you'll see a link to the One Football link. Click on that, download the app. It really does help me out a lot. And if you like the content and you appreciate what I do, then it would mean a lot if you guys could do it. But Joe, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi guys, Joe Tweedy. Probably doing more podcasting than writing these days, so I might have to update my usual tagline. But yeah, glad to be here on a very nice Tuesday evening in Copenhagen.
Oh, that's nice to know. Thanks for rubbing that in. It's been a pretty day in London. Yeah, I don't know why that's so awkward then, but moving straight into things. Now, I want to ask you, what's your take on the equaliser against Newcastle? Do you feel that Luiz should have been covering his positions, or do you feel that maybe people have been a bit too harsh on him? What's your thoughts and opinions?
I mean, I think probably first of all that it's quite a strange goal to concede. I mean, it sort of starts from Marcos Alonso. I can't really think of the passage of play that led to him being so far out of position that Olivier Giroud had to start covering at left back. I mean, that to me, I can't remember what had happened that had led to that situation. But yeah, I mean, I find the initial kind of ball sort of over that kind of channel that we've seen probably quite regularly with Alonso playing left back. It's an area that teams will target, is particularly with someone of Yedlin's pace out there. Again, I think once the kind of forearm smash/elbow to Giroud wasn't picked up by the linesman, the referee, felt a little bit like, particularly if you look at sort of the body language of Barkley and Alonso and even kind of Luiz in the middle, that a lot of the team felt like the game was about to be stopped. And I think once kind of that was fairly obvious, I don't think the team necessarily reacted. And one of the things that I want to point out, particularly the goal scorer, that was actually made. If you watch the replay closely, the guy starts probably on Jorginho and Rudiger and moves quite a long way, particularly when you're thinking about striker movements in the 6-yard box. He must cover about 5-6 meters. And I don't think at any point there was a shout to Luiz that there is a player approaching him. And it's not to completely absolve him of blame. I mean, I think, again, I think he's partly sort of, I wouldn't say stunned, but he seemed to almost expect the foul to be given. But the kind of statuesque nature of him standing there doesn't look great, particularly when you kind of view multiple replays of it. But I think, again, if you're looking at the cross probably should have been stopped. I think, again, positionally, Alonso probably should do more to be kind of where the ball is coming. And again, I have no idea. I can't really recall how Olivier Giroud ended up out there in the first place. But that to me was quite a red herring, or quite a red flag, I should say. And then, I mean, the communication, I think, between Rudiger and Luiz and probably Jorginho as well, who was also kind of facing play. There doesn't appear to be any sort of shout from anyone, even Kepa. There's no shout, I think, to Luiz on the near post for him to clear the ball. I think if you're kind of being very critical, I think that there is a lot of mistakes being made, kind of in the entire goal from Alonso, from Rudiger, from Jorginho, from Kepa. Luiz, again, I think there is obviously definitely an element of blame with him just ball watching, but I think I mean it was kind of strange. I do felt that the entire team kind of switched off at the moment. At least when the elbow hit Giroud, I think a lot of the players then switched off and expected the game to be stopped. But after that, 2-3 seconds later, I mean the guy kind of goes in front of Rudiger, in front of Jorginho, straight in front of a statuesque Luiz. And I think also, to be fair, it's a pretty good header. I saw some criticism of Kepa on the goal. I mean, it's a really strong, powerful header from a really, really powerful cross as well. So, I think people are being a little bit harsh of him in terms of the goal as well. But I mean, it's not a situation that's entirely dependent on Luiz. If anyone's played football, particularly in the defence, you know how dependent, how reliant you are on your centre back, particularly if you're facing play and there are players behind you. You are expected to receive information from a goalkeeper from someone like Jorginho, from someone like Rudiger, to tell them, that you need to deal with the situation. It also almost kind of feels like at the time, Luiz kind of raises his hands in the air almost as if he's going to duck under the ball to let the goalkeeper catch it. So I just feel that there's a little bit of a miscommunication between kind of a new triangle at the back between Kepa and Rudiger and Luiz. There's a little bit of a feeling out period between those guys. I think some better communication would really, really help. But I think, just to sort of summarise things, I think, again, it's not something that you can pinpoint on any one person. A lot of people will point fingers at Luiz because that's a simplistic. But again, in terms of defenders, you are very reliant on information around you, and whether he should have committed to just win the ball. I think someone like John Terry probably would have just headed the ball and not tried to maybe read what the goalkeeper was doing or assume that there was no one kind of coming in behind it. But I think that is more of a stylistic question between Terry and someone like Luiz, who maybe is thinking actually probably the goalkeeper's going to claim this. Let's sort of retain possession rather than sort of clear it. But I suppose the wider point, at least for me, is I think people are kind of drawing out these conclusions that this is something that regularly or always happens in Luiz's game, and you can argue the definition of these errors that lead to goals, lead to this statistic that's been around for a little while now. I think I was just sort of mentioning to you a little bit before the call that I think Luiz has played nearly 150 games for Chelsea in the Premier League, and officially, at least from a statistical standpoint, he's only made one error that's led to a goal. And I feel the way that he's discussed and the way that some Chelsea fans view him is this like happens like every second game, that he's constantly at fault for goals being conceded. Well, I don't think the data definitely doesn't back it up, and I don't also think if you really apply some critical thinking, that I don't think he's anywhere near as bad as some people want to make him out to be. He's definitely not perfect. Let's not make that as something that I'm saying. In terms of his physicality, I think that it's going to be someone that Sarri is going to want to work with and want to play, because I think what Chelsea lack at times is a bit of a leadership figure at the back. I don't really see Azpilicueta doing that from fullback. I don't really see Rudiger yet being that player, although I do like the fact that he does like to sort of get in the faces of opponents, and if there's any trouble on the pitch, Rudiger is one of the first players over. I just think Luiz has a bit more experience. He has a little bit more kind of nous and feel for the game, and I do generally feel that his physicality, he's 6'2", 6'3", he is built like a tank, Luiz. Him and Rudiger, that combination is going to be one that we see going forward. So slightly overblown in terms of the criticism of Luiz. I mean, we expect it whenever he does anything that's remotely slightly different from a very traditional centre back. People like Graham Souness and Jamie Redknapp have kittens, so it is to be expected. But I think the fact that Sarri is continuing to play him, particularly over someone like Gary Cahill, who again would be a very kind of safe and steady, very kind of very, very secure option to put in there, I think that says a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, looking at that situation, I'm always stressing too that I do think it does come down to being a collective effort. I think that the minute that Giroud obviously does go to the ground, it should be a free kick. Everyone knows that. But if you look at the positioning of Joselu, by then, just from that split second, he was in between Luiz and Rudiger. And I'm thinking immediately that you're already at a disadvantage if an opposition striker is between, both your defenders. And of course, Joselu made that near post run, then Yedlin played the cross to the near post. But I want to ask you this because I'm curious. In a situation where, let's say Luiz is in front, so he doesn't know anything that's happening behind, and let's say Rudiger's behind him, and Joselu's managed to obviously run between both of them, whose responsibility is that? Should Rudiger be more aware?
Yes.
He did.
Yes.
Saying that,
So, I mean, typically the way that the kind of defensive communication works, and it doesn't really matter what area of the pitch the ball's coming from. The person who can see the player and the ball typically should be in command of the situation, and it was something that Ricardo Carvalho was absolutely superb at with John Terry. He could, in terms of the communication, I remember seeing an interview with JT saying that actually Carvalho's communication to him, like, take away his ability as a player, like his actual communication to him made Terry like 10, 15% better because of the directions, because of the sort of connection they had, because of the feel for the game, the reading of the game that Carvalho brought to the centre-back partnership. And I think if you're there, and I think it's very obvious that Rudiger can see Joselu and he can see the run that he's making, there has to be an onus on you particularly a centre back. I think that's quite a vocal position. You have to open your mouth and you have to let the person know that there is a person coming up behind you. Because yes, I think there is a case that Luiz should obviously be slightly more aware, should be looking over his shoulder. But I don't think as a centre back you make that assumption that someone is going to be sort of head on a swivel like Cesc Fabregas is in midfield. And I think in that case, probably Rudiger. I would say also Jorginho could have given him a shout. He is also facing the situation, and maybe
everyone was. Yeah, and there was a quote from Sarri saying that he wants his players to look at the ball and not look at the man. And if you look at the replays, every single player was looking at the ball, and this is why Joselu was able to let us run through, so easily. And I just wanted to hear your perspective on that, because I kind of feel that Luiz has been taking the full brunt, and I just don't think that it's the right context to use to criticize him. If you want to criticize him for other mistakes, you can. But I think at this particular moment, it's a team effort. I think it comes down to obviously the referee not giving the foul. And then that split second where there was confusion, players were expecting to hear the whistle. Then you could say there's a small reason was Alonso not getting closer. Another reason, Rudiger and Jorginho not being aware. And obviously maybe Luiz just, maybe naive's not the right words, but not expect any danger. You know what I mean? And Kepa as well. I mean, it wasn't as if he was looking either. He was caught ball watching. So I just think it's a collective thing. But I mean, moving on to centre-back options. Now, what's your thoughts on Christensen and him not being, not really playing a part so far? I think it looks like Sarri doesn't like that he's not as physical enough or aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main reason, at least things that I've heard kind of anecdotally around the club, the main reason that he's not entirely sold on Christensen is the physical capacity. And back to his Napoli side, I mean, Koulibaly is about as physical a defender as you can.
Yeah, Albiol too.
Exactly, yeah. So you've got two guys who are incredibly physical. When you've got the onus on your fullbacks to attack, and Jorginho isn't, he's not a destroyer, he's a creator in midfield. I think Sarri, he still is very traditionally in his kind of approaches and Italian, that he wants two central defenders who are physical, who can run, who can deal with crosses, who can really sort of be a defensive kind of fulcrum for the team and be a defensive platform for the team to build upon. And I think one of the criticism that you can label at Christensen, and I say this as someone who is a very, very big fan of him, I think his physicality at times, I think maybe towards the end of last season when he was quite tired, we've heard about the lack of a winter break affecting him. But I feel that sometimes he was allowing himself to get pinned by a forward quite easily. And where maybe Luiz will jump in front and be more aggressive or make the centre forward make a decision, I think sometimes Christensen was allowing himself to be kind of pinned by forwards and letting them kind of dictate the situation. And we saw earlier in the season Christensen was probably more prone to kind of nipping in front of people, intercepting, using kind of more of his intelligence to win possession or to try and dictate where the forward was going. I think what we're seeing, or what we saw was the latter part of last season, was him being a little bit more leggy, a little bit more weary, and potentially that I think that perception at least is something that I would imagine Sarri has carried over. I think from a technical perspective, I look more to his Borussia Mönchengladbach days. I mean, we know that Fabregas has come out and suggested that his kind of instructions were quite restricted. He was not told to be expressive under Conte. I would imagine that also would apply to the centre backs as well. Whereas you mentioned Gladbach, you'd see Christensen bring the ball out from the back a lot more often, try and play a lot more of attacking and aggressive passes, and he definitely has that in his locker. He definitely has that capability. I just think from his perspective, when you've got someone like Rudiger, I think he's actually playing quite well this season. He looks to be better in a 2 than he is in a 3. As his recovery pace, his ability to actually play some pretty decent long passes as well. I don't think we can underestimate that he has got quite a nice long ball in him as well. Pairing him with Luiz, who again 6'2", 6'3", built like a wall, has the experience, will try and play the risky pass. I think he's kind of the general at the back that Sarri likes, having a little bit more of an experienced figure. And I think Luiz fits that profile. So I do imagine that Christensen will get some opportunities, particularly like in the Europa League and the Cups, and then it's up to him to sort of make that impression.
Yeah.
But I think at the moment it's
Same though.
Yeah.
Because it's weird. For me personally, I see Luiz being that first choice option in defense. I think obviously his experience, he's probably the best ball playing defender at the club too. I think aerially he's the best too. I think he's got a lot of attributes that Sarri likes, and it's no surprise why Sarri's been in praise of Luiz since he's taken over. But I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel that with I don't understand why the debates come between Luiz and Christensen. I don't know why Rudiger isn't in the equation, and I kind of feel that when you look at Rudiger's game, sometimes maybe it's because he hasn't made like anything that's a massive high-profile error.
Yeah.
A lot of the errors he does make comes from his positioning. Like, for example, maybe you've noticed this, maybe you haven't, but the amount of times where he gets caught underneath crosses, or let's say it comes to challenging an aerial ball with a striker, he gets caught underneath. Like I was doing a tactics video, which I'll probably have to release for tomorrow now. I'm just going through the game again, and I was noticing just how many times he was getting caught underneath Rondon. It's like he wasn't near him, and it's just like he's breaking his lines to win an aerial ball, and he's anywhere near the defender to even challenge in the air. And I just don't think that a defender of that level should be doing it. I mean, I like Rudiger. I think he's a fantastic footballer, amazing technique, incredible passing, etc., etc. But it's just when it comes to his defensive side, sometimes I don't know why other people haven't noticed it as much. I don't think I've been scrutinizing the guy or targeting him. It's just things I see in his game.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the things I remember when we were signing him. We spoke about his kind of rashness or his willingness to maybe play the game too aggressive. And I think particularly, you've got to respect that Rondon is a particularly big, he's a particularly big centre forward, big guy, muscular, strong, powerful, and you're not going to win those contests. Probably 15-20% of the time you'd be happy if you won some headers against him. I mean, he's an incredibly imposing guy. I think sometimes, particularly how he defends, that his aggression levels, I think, count against him at times. I think you're right. When he attacks the ball, it's kind of misjudging the flight. It's misjudging the kind of the way that the forward's using their body to kind of position him and pin him. I think he does. He is prone to giving away silly fouls. I mean, we saw that quite a bit last season. And not just silly fouls, but dangerous positions as well, I'd say, is the other thing. But I mean, in terms of him being picked, I mean, I think it comes down to one thing, and we are playing a high line, and you and I both know that high lines require recovery pace, and he's probably the fastest defender we have, particularly when you factor in, Marcos Alonso isn't particularly quick. And I'm actually surprised. I think who was it? I saw the game that Aston had a head start on Dummett, the left for Newcastle.
Video's gone. It was echoing a bit then.
Yeah, I'm just saying Azpilicueta got outpaced by Dummett, I think the guy's name is. On the weekend, I don't know if we have enough pace in the back line that Rudiger can't play. I think at the moment, so it's a little bit of a marriage of convenience, and that he has the pace. Maybe the rashness is something that Sarri can work with, but yeah, I mean, I think his recovery speed when compared to the rest of the back line is probably one of the major reasons that he starts.
That's weird. Yeah. I don't even notice his recovery speed as much, and I kind of feel with Rudiger, I don't think it's because he's not intelligent. I just think because he's like aggressive in nature and he's a very proactive type of player. I think he takes too many unnecessary risks, and in a way, he does kind of remind me of like a younger David Luiz at times. And I think it's because he hasn't been in a situation where he's made like a high-profile error. Like, remember that game under Ancelotti when David Luiz made a mistake against Chicharito and he got subbed off? Yeah, I think because Rudy made an error that high, no one's really noticed. But I mean, I don't know. Analyzing his game, I kind of compare him to some of the other defenders we used to have. We used to have great guys, Carvalho, Alex, Gallas, Terry, of course. And maybe that's why, maybe it's like my own personal thing, because obviously I always compare to greats, and sometimes it's not always as fair to compare someone to what you normally see. But I mean, the contrast can be kind of crazy. Things that I never used to notice or complain about. Sometimes I see some of our players, have them type of tendencies.
Yeah, I mean, I think the comparison to Gallas is quite interesting because I think if Gallas at his Chelsea peak is in this squad, I don't think Rudiger gets anywhere near the team. I mean, that is a guy who was traditional PMP, but I mean, he had so much intelligence and class and ability as well. He was the complete defender, and you know, a lot of people always talk about Cavalier and Terry, but Gallas and JT still house. I think they do still hold the record for most clean sheets as a defensive pairing. And I always thought that they were the perfect complement to each other. You had Terry's aggression and youthful kind of exuberance with Gallas was the ultimate sweep behind Terry and could always read the situation perfectly well. And I think that kind of football IQ is not something I necessarily see all the time in Rudiger. And I think you're right. I think it's kind of I don't know if it's an aggression thing. I think it's just that he's desperate to always kind of win the ball. There's like it's almost like he's trying too hard sometimes to regain possession, and you know he ends up making some rash tackles, or he puts himself out of position, or as you say, kind of at the weekend with Rondon. You're misjudging flights because you're the size of the guy, and maybe it's just a kind of an effort thing. He's so high effort and so kind of high octane that maybe he's kind of forgetting some of the sort of fundamental stuff. And particularly when you look at someone like Gallas, he was very cool, very laid back, and he was such a natural defender. I don't necessarily see the same kind of traits in Rudiger, although from an athletic profile, you'd say that they were quite similar, but Gallas just had that little bit of class and intelligence that I think that Rudiger doesn't have at this point in time.
Yeah, exactly. And then I mean, number one, it's not called PMP anymore. It's called BBQ.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's BBQ now. But yeah, that's why I keep saying. Yeah. Yeah, but that's why I keep saying. I look at Rudiger, it reminds me of like a younger David Luiz back in the day. And I can't call him our best defender. I can't. I don't get that same type of confidence I get from other players I used to see. I get a bit surprised as to why people think that Rudiger is our best defender. Well, maybe, but at the same time, I don't try to pretend I know everything. If I don't see something, I like to obviously be told about it. But what do you think it is about Rudiger that so many people like they feel compelled to say that he's our best defender?
I think particularly Chelsea fans. I think kind of fans in general. I think a lot of people appreciate his aggression. I think that they appreciate someone who tries to defend on the front foot all the time. And I think actually as well that his ability on the ball, I think, is actually pretty decent. I think again that's something that a lot of Chelsea fans rate highly. But I also think probably it's his commitment levels, and it's the small things. It's the he seems to front up in games when a little bit of trouble kicks off, and he seems to be someone who doesn't necessarily back down from conflict and quite enjoys that side of the game. And I think for a centre half, particularly sort of traditional kind of English Premier League players, that's something that a lot of fans kind of gravitate towards, that sort of characteristic in a player. And it's easy to overlook some of the more technical aspects of defending and some of the sort of minor mistakes that he might make fairly regularly in the game, particularly positionally, particularly when he's trying to be too aggressive to win the ball back. Because he might smash someone in a tackle and then play a 60-yard pass. I think he does some eye-catching things really well. Yeah. I think that's one of the things people will remember. It's like Alonso. I think defensively, I don't think he's the greatest. I don't think even linking players off and actually getting up and down as a fullback, I don't think he's particularly fantastic. But people remember the goals, people remember the assists, people remember the decisive moments, and they associate that with quality rather than maybe a slightly more granular assessment of the player. I think Rudiger benefits from that. He plays some really fantastic passes. People love that sort of stuff. Flies into tackles, doesn't down. He's done a lot of things that people like. So it's kind of easy to see if you're taking a very basic look at a player that he ticks a lot of boxes that the fans would like.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I agree with the points he made. I'm starting to think now that unfortunately there seems to be some audio issues. Like the echo is kind of crazy. So I don't. You guys, apologies. I am using OBS. I'm using like a different software for this live stream. That's why you can see the nice graphics. I'm trying to step it up a bit, but I must have done something with the audio because it keeps echoing as much. So obviously, apologies for that. It is pretty annoying because I can hear it right in my ear too, and it's like, yeah, it's annoying. So it looks like I might have to stop the stream for today. But I think we spoke about all the points that we wanted to talk about. And you guys, again, thank you for watching. In the comment section below afterwards, let me hear your thoughts too. I mean, you know, who does Christensen have to replace in the team to have a chance of playing now? Do you guys think Luiz should be the one replaced? Or do you think Rudiger should be the one to be replaced? Let me know in the comment section below. And for you guys, if you enjoy the content I produce, in the description, if you can click on the OneFootball link, download that, help support the channel. Each download from you guys makes a massive difference. And again, it's basically going to be a campaign that lasts until the end of this month. So I expect the next few videos to have OneFootball sponsorship on. You guys, again, thanks a lot. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lines TV. Signing out.